Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Carneal Davis. I'm the Library Genealogy Associate here at Thomas Balch Library. I just want to welcome you all here for Save Your Stories, Preserving Photos, Film, and Sound at Sterling Public Library. So we have a crew of Sterling Public Library staff here today to show off their preservation equipment. And so for this presentation in particular, we have the in-person crowd and our virtual audience as well. So it's going to be a slightly different kind of format today. We are going to do the presentation, hold answers for the Q&A after the presentation, and then the in-person crowd will then have a little bit of a show and tell moment with the items that are here at the library. For those that are virtual, we invite you to check out these pieces at the Sterling Public Library if you're able. So I will let them introduce themselves, but just a little housekeeping. The restrooms are in the back there. There's also a water fountain. And then if you need to, can't hear anything or have any questions for the virtual audience, just put it in the chat. And I am your MC, so I will make sure I answer those questions for you or pass them off to the staff here. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Chantel. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Good morning, everyone. Happy National Library Week. Happy Preservation Week. We timed it just perfectly. So my name is Chantel. I do work at the Sterling Public Library, and I'm part of what we have is a branch preservation committee. And then some of our committee members are here today. We have Beth and Kristen and Maria, and you'll get to meet them later in the program. So the Sterling Library started about 53 years ago, 53 years young. And we were in various locations in Sterling, the Sterling Park area. About 9 years ago, we relocated to a Sterling shopping plaza. We're literally right next door to the Dollar Tree. So when people ask for directions, we just say, if you can find the Dollar Tree, you found us. And then with that relocation, it tripled the size of our branch. Now, we're still a small branch, but we do mighty things, especially in the community. But with that bigger size, we added a makerspace. So the makerspace has 3D printers, sewing and embroidery machines. We have a new laser cutter called the Glowforge. And we also started with preservation equipment, scanners, cassette players, turntables. But for 7 of those years that we've been there, it kind of was untouched. The public didn't know about it, collected dust. So 2 years ago, we created the Preservation Committee, which we are members of. Most of us had, our own personal reasons because we had lots of photos to scan. We wanted to digitize and share. Some of us had vinyl that we wanted to digitize that you couldn't find in other formats. So we created this committee, learned how to use the equipment, had displays, did programming, but we really wanted to get the message out. I'm fortunate enough to come to many of the Thomas Balch programs, some wonderful workshops, and every time they'd have a program, at the end, I'd stand up and say, hey, by the way, Sterling Public Library has some preservation equipment. Do you need to scan your photos? Do you have a home video that you need to digitize? So they let me ride their programming coattails during their programs. And so they asked us if we would like to do our own presentation. So here we are. So we want to welcome you and we'll get started. Thank you for coming.
Hi guys, I am Beth Breidenmiller, and this is kind of my overview of what to think about before you get started. I am clicking. I am failing at clicking.
Yeah, I have to tap on those thing with the tracking card and then the presentation on the laptop trackpad.
I know, technology, right?
Okay.
So first thing to think about is organization. So why do you want to organize and digitize your photos? Is it for yourself? And in that case, you're going to name it quite differently than if you're doing it for the family, for the future, so you don't know who might be looking at these things. Is there another reason? Are you trying to organize high school memorabilia or, town of Sterling? So looking at that stuff, who are you doing this for? Because that will actually drive your system. If you think about who will be using the system, if it's yourself, you can do whatever you want. You know yourself really well. You can use nicknames, locations, events. But if you're doing it for your grandkids, instead of saying mom and dad, you're going to want to use full names. You're going to want to say not just, there's Sterling, Virginia, but then there's Sterling Heights, Michigan. You're going to want to add those details to clarify things. And then how will you find what you need? Are you hoping to look for, Christmases of the last 50 years, in which case creating a folder for Christmas would be really helpful? Or are you going to try and find by a person? Are you going to do something chronological? Are you doing all of one branch of the family? So think about how you'll find it and what you'll need to find. Are you finding it for your cousin or yourself, or again, in the future? So just think about this beforehand, and that will help you going forward. Okay, so you've spent a lot of time thinking about this. You know your goal, you know what you're gonna do. So the next thing is to get everything in one place. So we all have our shoeboxes full of photos, right? I've got one under the table right there. We have those. We also have negatives. You might have slides. And now in the last 20 years, we have USB drives. We have different size SD cards. We have external hard drives. We have that one laptop we can't get rid of because so-and-so's photos are on it, right? So these are all things you want to gather together, because if you're like me, I had physical photos that I scanned at one point and it ended up on a laptop, which I then backed up to the hard drive, right? But I only need one copy, and I don't want to spend all of my time doing it in triplicate. So think about where things are and have them in one place, if possible. Now, this is controversial, but I'm giving you permission. You can throw away photos, okay? If it's blurry, if it's a duplicate, because every single time we went to the store to get photos developed, we checked that doubles box, right? We paid the extra cash so we could have doubles. If it's a photo you have from someone else, and for example, in my life, I have tons of photos of trees and rivers. My dad loved taking pictures of trees and rivers. I don't know where these are. I don't know why that tree, other than it was a nice looking tree. I don't need to spend all my time digitizing that. So if it's something that has like the old car in front of the tree, sure. If it's someplace that I know we were like, oh, this is a tree at Rifle River, this is special, sure. But all of the random trees, I'm tossing them, okay? And that's okay to do. If you have a ton of photos on your cell phone or computer, and this is more serious as we find it easier to take photos, just spend a few minutes a day and curate it. Just start tossing things, deleting them. It's absolutely okay. Everyone will get through it, but you have to start with your priorities. And that's my last bullet on this page, priorities. Guys, if you have a lot of stuff, especially like videos or records, it's 1-to-1, which means an hour of VHS tape will take an hour to digitize. So you may want to start with, what really matters, like someone's wedding versus, I have 3 hours of a St. Patrick's Day parade, and really 10 minutes of it is probably pretty good for my needs. And I really wish I had figured out that it was going to be 3 hours of the St. Patrick's Day parade. So prioritize. And it's okay to start something and be like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. and move on to something else. Like that's okay. This is just general rule of preservation. I'm sure many of you have seen it. It's 3, 2, 1. So we suggest multiple copies, 3 copies. It might be your phone, computer, backup drive, physical copy. It might be the slides and the digital copy. But then you want to make sure it's in different formats. It's a real thing that the tech is changing and it's not always backwards compatible. So it's not always able to use older things, which is part of why we have this equipment. So think about, are you going to do the physical copy? I still do like physical copies. I feel pretty strongly that if it's valuable to you, you should hang it up and put it on your wall so you can see it every day. So physical copies, you might upload it to your Google Drive or Apple, external hard drive, laptop. The other thing to think about is another location. So go ahead and, send copies to your cousin Mary. So then if something happens to yours, she has a cassette, right? Or you may want to do one set virtual and then one set physical. So if there's a flood or something, you still have the digitized versions, right? So it's just good practice to do these things. And you don't have to do them all, but just something to consider, okay? So what's your plan? You have gathered everything. You have prioritized. You're going to do your grandmother's wedding photos and wedding, right? How are you going to start and what are you going to name your files? Because you guys don't want to name it photo 1, photo 2, photo 3, right? Think about how you're naming it. Think about folders. I personally do not use folders that much because I find things get hidden as I keep going deeper and deeper. So if you're like Christmas 2020 in Michigan, in Miller family, like that's what some people do to be hyper organized. If that works for you, go for it. But I find that then I lose things because I'm clicking down so much. So I just put things in a giant folder and call it Christmas. And it's got lots of different things, but that's okay because I don't always remember. Was the one where my daughter was like throwing a tantrum in front of the tree, was that 2020 or 2019? So I actually stay away from dates and I go more for people, but that's why we said, think about how you're going to organize it. Think about if you're going to start with the year, if you're going to start with the family name, location, event, and you can do a hybrid, but it's just something to come and have ready before you show up, because once you show up, we're going to digitize. So here's some more examples. This is what I mean for the file system. So like 2023, Miller Halloween, or Miller Heather birthday. That might be a folder. It might be with numbers after it or the actual photo name, file name. And then you need to have some place when you show up at the library and we're like, yes, you're here. This is so awesome. We'd love to show you all our stuff. Where are you going to put it? You can save it to your flash drive. You can save it to your own computer. You can upload it to the cloud. But where physically are you going to put it so you can walk away from the library having your digital files? Okay. And we can work with pretty much anything you come in with, but you should come in with something, right? Even if it's just uploading it. And then a tracking system, because we've had people, and by people I mean me, where you have multiple folders of photos and you put it in fast photo, which we'll show you is my favorite thing in the world. And I've done multiple envelopes the same times, I've done the same envelope multiple times. So think about a tracking system. Are you going to have a list of events or a list of people and you are going to mark off? We've done those photos. Are you going to put a green sticker on everyone that you've done with the date that you've done it? Are you going to have in your shoebox, a section that says done, a section to do? So think about how you're going to keep track of it. Okay. And then, of course, bring your stuff that you want to digitize. Any questions so far before we talk how to? Okay. So I'm going to kind of point, and for those of you here in person, we will actually show you the equipment and how it works and how it's not scary, it's not intimidating, but if you need help, we are available at the library and we love helping. So we have our flatbed scanner, and that can do negative slides and larger pieces. It's so easy. You pull off the top and it shines light through both sides. If you have scrapbook pages and you don't want to peel the photo off, or you have older albums and you're afraid to peel the photo off, especially those like magnetic ones, you guys sticky and yellowed by now. We have a little clear click that can actually sit on top and take photos of the photos up to 4x6. And that can also do slides and negatives. And then we have our Epson Fast Photo. You put a stack in and it goes through like that, and it scans the front and back at the same time. You can adjust it if you have writing on the back of your photos and you want to preserve that. I always found it tough to like then flip all the photos with the flatbed scanner. So the Fast Photo is amazing to me. If you are feeling like phone tech savvy, you can actually use an inversion setting on your phone and it will flip the colors to make it easier to see what's on the slide, opposed to going on the slide and going, well, if that's orange, it's actually green, and trying to do that in your mind. The inversion setting actually will do some of it for you. Multiple photos. Again, you can toss a whole stack. They don't even have to be the same size, and it just shoots them out. It is amazing. Yes. Yeah.
I'm just curious, do you take the, can you from the phone take it and also print it out on that, or is that just printer for the ones that you have?
So,
You know, the machines, you can
Right.
take it, you know.
So the machine is just going to take the physical and make it digital. If that.
Yes, I was just wondering if you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And then here's the portable one. When you go to use this, it can do slides, negatives, medium panoramic, so like the squares. You can restore the color. All of the two Epson scanners actually have a lot of restoration. So you can keep the actual color, which is sometimes faded or yellowed, or it will do a restoration. And you can actually choose a setting that will do both. So it gives you the original and the restored. And it's super quick. This one, the only limitation really is the fact that it's 8.5 by 11. I will also mention that at the library, there is a regular Xerox machine, like a big copier, that will scan documents. So if you have something like my dad's thesis statement from 1984, where it's typed, let's call it typed papers. So they're not delicate, but I can actually take the staple out and scan it, and it just goes through the automatic document feeder. So that's another option. And then I can email it to myself and have it digitized versus doing page by page on the scanner. Does that make sense? So it's just another tool. Everything for videotapes goes through this. It's the BitBox. You can buy one of these online, or you can use ours for free. And this works for all sorts of VHS. If you have a random DVD that you wanted to do, camcorder, and I'll kind of talk about that in a minute. Again, 1-to-1. The 1 hour of tape is 1 hour of sitting and watching the tape, which sometimes is really cool because people will say, this is the first time I've seen that person in years because they're recording. It's the cheapest way to time travel. General information for this. VHS we can do, we have a VCR, no problem. VHS-C, which is the compact VHS tapes, we can do that, no problem. We have a little kind of converter to slip it into. And then the next thing after that was the 8mm and Hi8. Those are the ones that go in through a camcorder. Like everyone used their camcorder to play them. And we have an example. One of our patrons donated the camcorder for us. And those we can now do because we have the camcorder. We are looking at getting a mini DVD, HDVD. So currently we cannot do those. So it's just something to consider because sometimes you're like, oh, here's a tape. But it depends on what type of tape as to whether or not. So I went into more detail. This, if you're there and we just happen not to be around, just a heads up, ours actually, you have to turn it on to use it. And I just never would have thought it needed power. So I'm just letting you know if it's not working, there's a switch and you turn it on. Yeah.
Those, you know, the family house, I'm sure my father Mark does. So is there any way to take a look at this before even venturing down the pathway of stopping?
So if you wanted to, if you have specifically these, if you have a working VCR, I would get a converter and do it at home and then bring in the ones that you are interested in converting. If you don't have the tech to play it at home, then you should come in and just watch like the first 10 minutes of each one and then use that to set your priorities.
So you can see it.
Yes.
Thank you.
We can also set up like one of our TV
Mhm.
if you need to. And you can set it to your space,
Mhm.
connect everything. and you
Yeah.
can watch
Mhm.
it.
It's a good question. It's Sony. The Sony camcorder was the main one that was used. And then everything else, we are currently looking for players. If you have your own camcorder player, if you bring that in, it will work with our VidBox. So if you can play it with the yellow, red, and white aux cables, you know, the one I'm talking about where you put it into the VCR, if you can play it with those, we can use the VidBox. Film reels, 8mm, Super 8s. We can do those. We actually have two different machines. We have one over there. We don't have the reels for it, but we do back at the library. So you can go through and it's so amazing to see because you see one frame at a time. And then at the end, it just plays all the frames together. And those machines usually just take a USB, or sorry, you can do USB, but you can also do an SD card. And you just plug it in and then you walk away with your 8mm film on the card. I think it's just cool. And then I'll let Chantel talk about the audio stuff because I went hard on the video and photos.
Yeah, the tape, you can see my shirt tape. I'm old school, so I have lots of mixed tapes at home, mixed cassette tapes at home. So we also have equipment that will help you do audio tapes and records, vinyl, 33, 45. They use a headphone jack or auxiliary on the player to connect, and you're connecting with a laptop that you can use. And then we use the software GarageBand for that. So the audio tapes, I don't know if you still have it at home, but I made several mixtapes because I thought I was a DJ back in the 80s. And I wanted to preserve, you know, some of the songs. And so we have the micro cassette player, a toner cassette player, and they'll be on the table for you to look at. So if you have any of those cassettes at home, like I have a cassette, it's a recording of my grandmother singing a hymn from church that I wanted to preserve. So I have that on cassette because I still play my cassette. You can find a good cassette. And then vinyl records, again, works for 45 and 33 and a third records. So you have the vinyl and it uses the Ion vinyl record record converter. It also actually plays, it's actually a actual stereo turntable. And again, you're using a laptop in GarageBand for that. Because there's some vinyl that you still can't find either on CD. It's not available digital. Like I have some examples here on the table. There's like a local gospel group that came out with a vinyl record, but you can't find it any other way. And so you want to digitize it before, you know, it cracks or other things happen to it. Or you can come visit us in person and record your stories in our sound booth. So we have a sound booth that you can use, again, uses GarageBand, but if you wanted to record like what they have here at Thomas Balch, your oral histories, stories that you want to pass down, you can, of course, use our sound booth. Of course, we didn't pack that up today. You'll have to come visit us. And that location is right next to the Dollar Tree in the Sterling Shopping Plaza. And so are you ready to save your stories? Thank you for coming out. Any questions? Yes.
So all of these things you say you store digitally, but what format digitally? The audio is what? WAV file?
WAV file, MP3, MP4, yes, yes.
For digital? And for video?
For video, the file is MP4.
Before, okay.
Yes.
I have DVDs that I want to digitize. So what format can I see them on? I don't have a DVD, but I digitize. What do I watch?
So it works because like if you see here, or this is a video that plays the VHS and the DVD. So you will use still the V-Box. It's the same procedure. So you're gonna if you want to watch it beforehand, like we asked before, we can set up the TV and you can watch it, or even when you are already like digitizing it, you can still watch the movie before you save it. You know,
So
so
save it on my computer.
you can save it on your flash drive, or your computer, you know, on your cloud, any, yeah, like that's how things work.
So you would make an appointment. And then you set up when you come in and.
So we have these here, how you make the appointment, you can pick one of these, and it will make an appointment for you, let us know when you're available, and
And once you guys feel comfortable with the equipment, you can just call ahead and say, is anyone using the bid box? And if no one is, you're welcome to come in anytime the library's open to use it.
we have patrons come and we show the ones, and they be coming like every day to like, you know, preserve all their children, it's like the verbiage.
I have photographs that are different sizes. Do you have to arrange them by size?
It's between 3x5 and 5x7. You can put it in the PEX photo and it will just run through it. You don't even have to.
They can be different.
This one doesn't do like the 8x10s. And it doesn't do the little tiny ones.
You have anything that doesn't.
We have both the flatbed scanner. That one, if you have at least a ½ inch between the photos, you can scan like 8 of them at once and it recognizes them.
I have a very small piece that's very sacred to. Can you take and then watch through these machines? What is it? It's the little. It's this.
What is a photo?
So you can scan it and really up the quality of the scan to make it, and we have, sorry, I have over there.
I think it's back on the table.
Where you would send it to either, the highest you need is 600 really, any higher than that is not really something we can see. 300 is like a normal amount that we do for something, but 600 is a 600 DPI.
that's per inch.
In the scanner, the flatbed scanner will do enlargement.
Okay. And some improvements from those getting. Between 360 is what I. And I'm mentioning hands. These have been great, very, yes, you can see like that, that's.
So I just,
Sorry, there's a question from our virtual audience, and I believe you all answered it, but just so to make sure that they heard it on the mic, mic over there. What is the highest resolution scan on the Epson?
That the Epson scanner, I think it is it 6,000 dpi?
So, and we can make a copy. This is from the Library of Virginia. And you can see and then add it to this video.
Yeah.
This tells you kind of like what size photos and what to scan it at for storage. Because it goes back to what are you using it for? Is it just to have a backup copy? Are you going to enlarge it? Because the trade-off is better quality, more space, more time. But to answer the scanner one. Looks like 720 might be the largest.
Can you say it again?
720.
We have a binder, this is really available that you guys can flip through when you're at the library and see if it answers questions. If we don't know the answer.
Are you the only library in the system that has all this equipment?
So no, great question. We are not the only branch that has this. The Russ Library here in Leesburg has some preservation equipment. I can't speak to everything that they have. We've added a couple of things because we're like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to be able to, like we said, scan your photos, like tons of them at once. And so we purchased the fast photo scanner. So, but they do have they do have the flatbed scanner. I believe they have the toner cassette and the Wolverine film reel. And I'm pretty sure they have the VHS VidBox converter. So those are some of the things that they do have that I'm almost positive that they have in store. Yes.
Can you check out any of the equipment?
So no, you can't physically take anything home. That's why we're saying, prioritize what you want to do, especially if you're doing VHS tapes, film the 1-to-1. So if it's a 1 hour or 2 hour VHS tape, you do need to plan to spend 2 hours with us. We're nice. We won't bite often. Yeah, it's just nothing that we can actually lend out at this time.
Can you edit what you do?
So we're here to facilitate digitizing it. Then once you all have the digital files, it's up to you if you want to print them, if you want to enlarge them, if you want to restore them. That's up to you. We just can't cover all the things that you might be doing.
If they say it's an hour-long tape, and you take out.
Yes.
You should be able to stop and then go to a next section. Yes, you should be able to stop or pause and go to the next section if you don't want a portion of the video.
No, I'm just thinking like, yes. Do that.
that's why it's good to like watch it beforehand and then you say, okay, this minute I want to stop it and then I tap again, like fast forward and I'll take these chunks and it's like, so, but it takes time,
So just writing in a notebook,
Correct.
like the times.
yes, and then it's.
Just show some slides and which could. Actually, two of them are we feeling like we're ready to move into the C hands-on piece? Any more questions?
Questions online?
We do a little wrap up for the virtual audience and then move on. So thank you all for joining us for this presentation today. We really appreciate the Sterling Library coming out. And I did see in the comments in the virtual section that people are planning to come visit you all. So we are very excited about that. And so before we sign off on Zoom, I just want to do a little plug. We do have quite a few upcoming events here at the Thomas Welsh Library. So for our in-person group, we have some flyers in the back. For the virtual, please check out our website. One of the events that we have that's upcoming is a series called Revolution on Screen. It's happening on Tuesdays. So it's kind of similar to a book club, but it's a movie and TV club talking about the Revolutionary War and how it's depicted on screen. And so we have different facilitators from the Loudoun VA 250 committee to talk about various subjects. The next one is this coming Tuesday, the April 28th. And it's based on episode 3 of the Canadian miniseries, The Book of Negroes. And that's going to be facilitated by local historian Alicia Cohen. So we invite you to come out if you're able. And now I will stop talking and I will let the in-person enjoy the show and tell. And thank you again to our virtual audience.
And we're gonna do the